right, we are going live. We should be live now on Facebook and YouTube, and Instagram should be. I'm going to check.
Yeah, I think we just got notification for Instagram, so we should
perfect. Be Perfect. We can just wait a second for folks to trickle in.
From here.
1 second.
So we should perfect. There we go. All right. I'm going to change the format because it looks a little trippy. That should be better for Instagram. Cool. All right. Well, we can get started. I see we've got a few people here so far. So thank you all so much for joining for this live talk and recording for the Immigrant Finance Podcast. For those of you who are new to our community, I'm Adina from Immigrant Finance, and we have our special guest here with us today, Laurie from Latinos with Passports. So thank you so much for joining us.
Hola, saludos.
No, thank you very much for the invitation.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to talk further today. While we're just waiting for some folks to trickle in, feel free to introduce yourselves a little bit more, share a little background.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm Daniel. I'm originally from Miami, Florida. Pretty much been living in the DC area for the past 7 years or so. So that's a little bit about me specifically.
Yeah, and I'm Laurie, and I'm from Washington State, where we currently are right now, and I work for the federal government in DC. I've been living there for about 6 years, and so really what our story, I guess, for Latinos with Passports, Danny can touch on.
Yeah, so pretty much we started this travel hacking during our wedding engagement. We were trying to figure out the best way that we can have pretty much a very nice honeymoon. Without having to break the bank, right? I mean, the wedding that we were already having in DC was pretty much up in budget, just because of the nature of the area, right? I mean, it's very expensive to have a wedding in DC, even if you try to do more of a cookie cutter, a la carte type of wedding. It was still going to come out to about $30,000-$40,000. So we needed to make sure that the honeymoon did not break our bank accounts and break the marriage, right? As unfortunately, one of the biggest reasons why marriages fail in the first year or so is money issues. So with that in mind, we also wanted to go to Bali, right? Or rather, after looking at some areas, we're like, oh no, actually Bali looks nice. I of course started sweating because it's like, oh my God, how am I supposed to get there? What flights, this and that. And from there, it was just a matter of learning not only so much the travel hacking, right? Not like, oh, try to find the best deal possible, but it was the financial aspect of it, right? What credit cards we needed to get, what was the discipline that we needed to have to, earn the miles, pay off our balances, rinse, repeat, right? To ensure that we were being financially, what would be the word, financially responsible, right? But then at the same time, be able to enjoy these perks from these credit cards and use it to our advantage, as opposed to what you might, unfortunately hear a lot in the news is people being in debt because of the credit cards. So instead of using that as a tool to fund our future travels and, to fund it in a way where we didn't have to pay more than 75-50% out of pocket in that respect.
That's awesome. We totally relate to the wedding expenses thing. We actually ended up having our wedding in Ecuador because it was going to be like a small percentage of the price than in the US, and we live in the DC area too. So once we started seeing how much it would cost just to rent a place for the night, it was like no question. It was so crazy.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing, right? That when people think, what is this? Oh, how do we, how do you find a better deal, right? Or or how to find this, on a sound budget, right? We kind of tend to think of all the stereotypes right away, right? Oh no, this is too expensive. Oh no, this and that, right? So like we kind of tend to come from a negative perspective, and trust me, I did that a lot too. With when we were planning our wedding, being having those difficult conversations with money, right? Because that's one of the things that people don't like to be honest about, right? I would say, right? During engagements and when planning the wedding, is being really honest about money, right? Being honest about expectations, right? You have you can have a list, you write all the dream stuff that you want to have, but then it's like, okay, realistically, what can we do with the money we have now? What do we have to do to make more money, right? Side hustles, all those things are kind of the things that, I mean, my parents didn't tell me anything about that when getting married or anything of that sort.
Yeah. So how did you all start your journey with figuring how to navigate all this?
Well, I think so coming into the marriage, I was the one that had the debt mostly, had over $26,000 in debt. And a lot of that was part from moving across the country. It was a big shock for me to, once I got here, to know that, hey, what I previously paid in Seattle of like $700 with two of my other sisters, and now having a $1,600 a month apartment by myself, that was a big shock. Debt continued to grow, and I just really felt personally like, that wasn't for Danny to take on the debt. It was something that I needed to make a plan and tackle that. So of course, with his help, once we started being a dual income, then it was a little bit easier to split up other expenses. So I was able to knock that debt down probably in a year, $26,000.
That's amazing.
At the same time we were planning the wedding, and of course the honeymoon, I just left it all to Danny. I felt like I'm dealing with the wedding. The after party is going to be yours. But I looked up online on Instagram, a lot of different, the personal finance community is really supportive on Instagram, I would say, giving you different tips and tools to help you tackle that debt, getting a budget down. That we started it out over a year ago, maintaining a spreadsheet budget, and have really loved it. Now it's like our absolute go-to. It's, you wake up in the morning and you like check social media and you check your bank accounts, and then you plug in any budget items from the day prior. So it's just become a consistent part of our lives now.
And how has that allowed you all to be able to travel more and have these dreams of traveling?
I think largely is because you have a clear picture of what you can do and where you can go. Travel hacking is part of it, but as I tell Danny, like, if we are not budgeting, we are not flying. And there's just no point to incur additional debt outside of hacking for the sake of traveling, in my eyes. So that allows us to have, good experiences, and knowing that we're not breaking the bank on doing these trips, that we're still taking care of our primary responsibilities,
the bills,
like
the
mortgage, investing,
student loans.
Yeah.
And I would say that,
awesome.
Growing up, whenever we would, we grew up poor. I mean, to put it bluntly. And whenever we would have the opportunity to, say, go for a road trip somewhere like that, it was always, at times we felt like, why are we even going? Because half the time my parents would struggle with, no, we can't go eat there because we only have like $20 or something like that. So it's like, even those trips were not necessarily properly planned.
Yeah.
And so, like, all those unfortunate negative experiences really taught me of, like, well, yeah, I would love to go business first class. So, but I don't have any money to shell out several $1,000s for the seat. No, why would I? How is there, is there a better way to do this? That's where the travel hacking also came in from my end. It's, look, I'm not going to go shell out $5,000 for a seat. Let me figure out how I can maximize the spending I'm already doing and bring back rewards, right? And so that's that part of that financial literacy that, again, they don't teach you at school at any level, not even college. How to come through difficult experiences through just living life, and overcoming some of those fears that, the credit cards are bad for you, right? Or that, all you're going to do is get debt. No, you got to learn how to use these tools in order for them to get the rewards that you're looking for.
Yeah, it was such a game changer for us when we learned about like travel hacking and rewards. I know exactly what you're talking about, because this is something that a lot of people in our community struggle with, and we've struggled with, and almost every guest on the episode has talked about, is like that messaging we all grew up with of we don't have enough money, there's not enough, and like that scarcity mindset, and like you don't deserve to go first class ever, or, you know, and then it's like, wait, you can just hack the whole system and like do it for free. And once we realized that, pretty recently, like a few years ago, we were able to go on our first trip for free to Japan and Thailand, and like go to lounges and the airports, and like all of it was free. And it was just mind blowing. It's like once you realize that, like everything you considered to be true, you start questioning.
Right? Or even not flying to anywhere else but your home country, right? The cultura, right? Like the first international trips I did was to Colombia, right? Just because, well, my entire family's over there, so why wouldn't you go visit your family, right? Like, why would you go anywhere else, right? Like, so it's almost a little bit of that guilt tripness, like you said, right? Well, no, you don't deserve to go to first class because, you know, you grew up in this scarcity mentality, right? No, you don't deserve to go anywhere else but your home country, because why wouldn't you visit familia, right? So it's kind of those toxic mentalities too that you know you have to overcome and learn that no, this is why our tagline is "Vamos viajando, the world needs to see us," right? And definitely talk more about that, because
we will.
It is about that whole idea of like we are basically businesses want our money. And they're happy to take our money, but it's almost like, oh, okay, cool, but go away, right? No, we need to have that visibility in front of in many places in order for people to understand our stories.
Tell me more about that. So yeah, like, I mean, that is so important. So why is that something you all are passionate about? Why is that important for more people to see more folks, more Latinos traveling and, you know, enjoying themselves and all of that?
Yeah, we'll crack at it. Or you want me to crack at it?
Big question.
I mean, I think so me coming from a very small town of about, I think 12,000 people, and to, you know, going to college in Seattle, which was 3 hours away, totally away from family, and then moving across the country, that was mind blowing for my family. And then love of travel to go with it, especially as a Latina, you know, your parents are extremely protective of you and what are you doing out there? So to want to see the world, it just, for me, it was an opportunity to show that to my siblings as well, and that we all share that passion for travel, and that we need to be in those spaces too. There's nothing that bars us from being able to do so, especially when using travel hacks. I mean, until the day, like if and when you're able to just pay outright cash for a first class seat in Emirates, sure. But now that you know how to travel, like why would you ever want to do it again? So I always say it's, you know, once we know better, it's time to do better and show others. That's really important to us. And I think we can all get behind the strategy of making our dollar work twice, thrice for us. It's kind of that concept of bueno, bonito, y barato. Like you want to get as much as you can out of your dollar because you know how hard you work for that money and often how underpaid you are. And so therefore, I think that links to travel hacking perfectly because we're like squeezing the juice out of the opportunity.
Yeah. And from my end, it was, growing up in Miami, you're growing up in a very international city, pero la pobreza was that hard that it almost felt like you were trapped in that sense, right? It's like you want, like you're seeing all these global cultures come in, but you can't go experience it in their home countries, right? And so it was that desire to like go, right? Growing up, there was a song by Flo Rida, out of all people, right? They had a music video, and like the first 30-second music video was him like jumping off a plane in Dubai, right? And I thought that is so cool, right? Like that would be so cool if I ever get to go to Dubai. Well, guess what? We went on a honeymoon. We're gonna go back again this year 2 times. So it's like it's kind of a manifestation in many ways of like, because we did the right things, right? We did the planning, we did the budgeting, we did the financing, right? All those tough things that you have to do first before you get to the travel hacking, right? Because if you don't take care of your bread, if you don't take care of, of everything that you got to do, But no, pues no puedes viajar. I mean, it's going to be very difficult for you to, unless you take the debt and, and then get yourself in those types of financial troubles.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's that combination of like knowing how to manage money and then working the system and making sure you're optimizing your accounts and credit cards to get the most benefit. I totally agree. And something else I'm just thinking about hearing y'all talk is like, hey, like, rich white businessmen do this all the time. They travel for free all the time because they have all these business miles and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so if they're doing it, why can't other groups in society? Why can't Latinos? Why can't immigrant groups, other immigrant communities? Like everyone should be able to. So it's information that I feel like has been kept secret in some ways that like only certain circles know about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and very similar to, investing. Danny made a good point the other day. I secured my MVP status with Alaska Airlines for next year, and I'm on track to, I think, clinch MVP gold.
Yeah.
And we thought about it. We're like, the reason why we are able to get to that faster, that next year, is because the miles that you are earning is compounding so much faster. And so that is how these rich white businessmen are able to also continue their elite status in the skies. It's because of that compound interest, right? Once you achieve certain status, the growth is exponential. And I guess it just kind of like pops something in my mind like this makes so much sense. So
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like investing.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like investing, right? And people don't really understand that. But then also to bring it even to a more simple level, right? Let's just say just going on a vacation, right? I think our community also has to give itself grace. We're forced to work hard. We're forced to, grind and hustle so hard. But man, you can only do that so much. And if anything, this pandemic has shown, we're only people, man. Like you can't keep working 70, 80, 100-hour days. And I get it. It's not a success for everyone, or maybe not everyone wants to go on a business class trip, and that's totally fine too, right? The important thing is that if you learn from our Instagram page, hey, I just need to save budget money, appropriately, so I can go and spend a weekend in a cabin and relax with nature, do that too. Yeah. Latinos need to be seen in the outdoors as well, right? Just as much as it is in first class seats to like enjoying the outdoor life. There's a lot of people on the travel community that do RV travel that are Latinos, camping that are Latinos, us that are more on the luxury side. Like if we start being seen in all these spaces, then what that means is that then businesses then have to cater to our needs, right? And so that is also why even Amaya need to go out on a vacation too, go on a weekend, go somewhere nice, and enjoy yourselves, because we deserve the rest too. And we deserve the vacation. It's all about having a good, dignified life.
I'm really glad you brought that up. It's so important, and it's so important for the building wealth journey, the self-empowerment journey. I see someone's commenting, it's true, our community does need to give itself grace and experience different spaces. Absolutely. I'm laughing because when I heard you talking about the RV, I'm thinking about our best friends who are a Mexican-American family, and their parents' like dream for retirement was to get this super luxurious RV, and they like drive around the country in their fancy RV, and that's their dream,
That's the dream, right? And if that's what you want to do, then you think of the dream and then you plan for that dream, right? That's the same thing when people ask us, what's the best travel credit card? What's the one that gives you more points? No. You're thinking it the wrong way. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? How do you want to travel? Then you work yourself backwards, right? Then you figure out, do I even need a credit card? If you're doing the airline and hotel travel, okay, you probably might want to use a credit card as a useful tool. Or what are the budgeting things that you got to get in order? Like, do you need to improve your credit score, right? I know that many in our community struggle with building up our credit scores, or even getting into the credit card game. I only got my first credit card when I was 26, and that was a secure credit card that had like a $300 limit. I remember my first purchase was like, I bought beers for my friends. It was a $50 bill that day. But it felt so cool. It felt so cool to say, swipe, and I'm going to pay it later, right?
Yes.
But it's taking those first steps to be able to learn and learn responsibly how to use these tools, and then just go from there.
That's exactly what my husband Mao did when he immigrated here. He started with a secure credit card around the same age, had no credit card history in his life in here or Ecuador where he's from. And now like he's a better credit score than me. He like loves using his miles. Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to touch on one more thing, just to, like acknowledge that we have a lot of people in our community who obviously don't have the privilege to travel because of immigration law reasons, and that's a very real thing. So I was wondering if you all can speak to traveling within the U.S., if that's your situation, and how you can kind of make the most of that, even if you can't do flights with, you know, points with that, but like what can you do traveling in the U.S. at least?
So, you know, that kind of hits home, you know, definitely for me personally, because my parents were undocumented when I was growing up. And, you know, even that idea of taking road trips, right? I mean, that always carried a unique risk, right? As most people know, right? You know, one stop by the cops and that's it, right? It's kind of like game over there. The trick, I think the trick in the travel hacking and all this is, you know, traveling in groups is always going to be probably better for you know, folks amidst families, right? Travel as a family. I'm not gonna say that, you know, the chance is zero, but the chances of being harassed or, you know, having any sort of complications like that goes down because you're in a group. You know, authorities are more, maybe less likely to mess with a group of people than say an individual or even two people by themselves. I think the other part of it is, yes, you might not have access to credit cards, but you can still earn points. And that's the thing that people don't understand. These loyalty programs, I don't think any of them required a driver's license as far as I remember. So you can still have your name. And if you have like a valid ID, say from another country, I believe, and again, don't quote us on that one. We could definitely find out. But you can still collect points when you stay at a hotel, right? Or have someone in your group that if you don't feel comfortable putting your name, totally understandable. Have someone in the group collect the points for the family, right? And then do that, right? So yeah, you might not have a credit card, you might not be able to get that credit card, but you could definitely still gain points on that. If you do a lot of online shopping, right? You can use the online shopping portals. Again, I mean, I'm thinking of myself, right? Because I was the oldest of my family. Okay, if I'm the one responsible for doing all the online shopping, cool, do that, right? Same thing with even taking surveys online, right? That they pay you, you know, 50 to 100 miles or points, you know, per survey. You know, get those points here and there, and at least that will save you a night in the hotel room, right? Hotels.com, that comes to mind. If for every 10 nights you stay, you get a night free for the value of the 10 that you spent on. You take advantage of those non-credit card loyalty programs, and then from there, you will be able to improve, you know, make your trips around the United States definitely much more comfortable.
Yeah, and I would say also, depending on the rules of your state, I mean, Washington State is a lot more supportive. I would say for those that are undocumented, you can get a driver's license here, and you can travel within the U.S., and that also includes Hawaii. So amplifying your experience by, you know, being able to go to the lounge, being able to fly first class. We have firsthand experience of a family member that can enjoy those benefits with us, even though her status is undocumented right now,
or DACA, rather.
or DACA as well. So I think that's why also, like, we travel international, and we have, you know, the privilege of do that, of being, you know, U.S. citizens, but it's also important for us to share those non-credit card travel hacks and what just the, you know, something that applies to everybody of any status.
Yeah, those are great strategies, and really appreciate you sharing that. I would just add, you know, you can get a credit card if you're undocumented as long as you have an ITIN, individual tax identification number. So that's something really important to look into that can open up a lot of doors financially. Not every credit card will accept that, but a lot of the national ones will. So that can be a way to also maybe participate in some of the rewards.
Yeah, and even if you can't get one of those travel credit cards, you can get a cashback card too, you know, like building yourself up, right? Because I think the other the other mindset of it all is that people think that they have to aim for the Amex Platinum right away, right? And it's like, no, no, you don't have to go. You might not even have the credit score that they want for you to get that right away. Build yourself up, right? And, you know, get to those points. Or maybe the type of travel you do is much more simple, and that's totally fine again. Maybe a cashback on gas, right? If you're doing a lot of road trips, that's probably much more beneficial than, say, another travel credit card where you gain airline miles, right? Because again, if you're not flying too much and say you're doing road traveling, well, get the tools that you need to get the most rewards back from the type of travel that you're doing.
Yeah, and I think, like, you know, it's going to be you know, risk scale of what you're personally comfortable with in terms of going on a plane. If you're in that situation, people make different calculations based on their risk tolerance. But even if you don't want to be on a plane, like, you can obviously travel in your area, go find beautiful places near you. Like, I think all the things you're talking about of, like, empowering yourself and kind of, it seems like you're saying letting, you know, letting yourself experience that rest, that relaxation, that abundance. Like, you can do that with somewhere half hour away from where you live, and just being intentional to take that time for yourself. Anything you want to add on that, and like being able to experience those benefits locally?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, if luxury is the, you know, is the go-to, it doesn't have to be luxury on a flight. It can be a great hotel suite. It can be a great cabin. Trains also have business class, or, you know, increased seating. It's all about, I think, increasing your travel experience, making that a better travel experience.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah, that's great. That's so important.
We definitely like to think that our experience kicks off from, like, the second we set foot out the door. You know, that's all part of to when we get there. It's not just about when we get to the destination.
Ooh, I love that. Tell me more. I want to hear more about that.
Well, I mean, because, you know, like you said with the lounges, right? So, you know, that sets you up nicely, right? Instead of, say, like, waiting in line, getting a Chipotle. Well, no, go to the lounge, have a nice seat, you know, get yourself a una Cuba Libre, you know, and get food to you. And then you get to board the plane. If you're traveling first or business, you get to board the plane separately. You know, they treat you, you know, with a lot more attention. So all those things are part of that experience. And, you know, fortunately during our honeymoon, I mean, Emirates and Japan Airlines, which we flew on our way back, I mean, excellent service.
Japan Airways.
Yeah,
right?
Japan Airways was just very, very nice. When we were flying them, and it's that aspect, right? It's that, like, we deserve these experiences. Why not, right? Yes, please cater me, right?
Yeah, and don't be humble about it. It's your hard-earned dollar that got there. You are just as worthy as everyone else in that lounge, or, you know, in that suite, getting that attention as everyone else. You know, it's sometimes. Or I think at first it was kind of like, oh, I don't want to bother, like, the staff with, you know, requesting something. But no, that's what you paid for, and you deserve to treat yourself as well.
I love that message. You deserve to treat yourself. I think that's so important for the immigrant community to be hearing. I mean, especially after the past 4 years. I mean, how awful and violent and dehumanizing that has been for people's psyches and self-worth, you know. And so to, like, be able to claim, you know, I deserve this, and, like, treat yourself and budget to make it happen, where you're not doing it in a way that's going to be self-sabotaging and putting yourself into debt, but, like, you can feel good about it and plan for it and be intentional. That's financial empowerment. Yeah, it's not like the number you have in your bank. It's like being able to do things like that, right?
With what you have. Yeah.
Right, with what you have, and while you're traveling, getting more rewards on top of that, right? So it's always being intentional, not only about the first trip that you're taking, but then also the future trips that you're taking, right? The other point that I wanted to make too, that is also important in our immigrant families, is that because we grew up in that mindset of, you know, I gotta keep working, like, I feel guilty if I take a vacation day, then us, the professionals, right? Let's say the next generation that are in this space, we don't take our own vacation. right? Like that's what they're paying us to do, right? Like I remember my mom would tell me all the time, pero eso está bien, you know, like isn't that like bad for worse? Like no.
Like is that too many days off?
Oh,
Be okay with
yeah.
that?
Yeah, like they give you
Yeah.
PTO for a reason to use it, and
Yeah.
and this country is notorious for not using their PTO, right? Maybe
Yes.
that changes with the pandemic, right? Maybe people realize that they need to take care of themselves, they need to take care of their families. Work isn't everything, and so maybe we're gonna see a change in that front, right? But if you're Latino, you're an immigrant, you know, kid, right? You know, from a family, don't feel ashamed of using your PTO. Please go out, do
Yeah.
something, take care of yourself. You know, like, yeah, there's only one of you, and if you're not good with yourself, how are you gonna be good to your work, to your family, to anything you want to do? So you gotta take care of yourself.
I absolutely, and I've been kind of making this point in the past few episodes because I've been exploring this a lot personally. But like, if you don't actively and affirmatively take those steps, it's going to pass down to the next generations. And I'm living proof of that because I'm third generation. So it was my great grandparents who were Jewish refugees fleeing persecution, Eastern Europe that came, and it's like no one in my family ever addressed that trauma and scarcity. And so like it plays out with me, I'm realizing with like, you know, overworking, feeling guilty for taking time off, like, and I notice a lot of other folks who are part of immigrant families feel that way. I remember my husband definitely feeling like he could never take time off to visit his family and would go years not seeing them because he didn't want to lose his job. So yeah, so much of, you know, we're talking about travel and it seems in time off, it seems like surface level, but it really goes to like your self-worth and your empowerment and your dignity so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you guys are modeling for the next generations. That's amazing.
No, I mean,
helping others.
And right, helping others. And I mean, we're learning too, right? I mean, we're learning how to, you know, make the most out of our time off, right? Because you know, I think we're both the type of personality where we don't mind taking a day off, but then not doing anything, right? So it's like we get a little bit like a little OCD in that regard. Like, no, you gotta do something at least, right? And
like
you know,
FOMO.
yeah, exactly. And then also just, you know, as a couple, you know, balancing your travel styles, right? I'm definitely more of the city explorer. You don't want to look at everything. Laurie wants to be lounging by the pool, right?
Yeah. Me too, Laurie.
Yeah, but I think sometimes it's just because, you know, when I am definitely the one that struggles with taking time off. That when we do, it's because I'm likely at the point of exhaustion already, and so that's when you finally take time off, and so all you do want to do is like just lay there at the pool.
And so I mean, absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I know that in the honeymoon, the mentality that I had to learn was I can come back.
Yeah.
I don't have to see everything right away, right? And so that was life-changing for me to be thinking in that way, right? Because we had achieved a level of financial freedom, of independence to be able to do that. Even for those that say, you know, you don't want to travel internationally or cannot travel internationally, set more local goals and say like, yo, I want to visit all of these places, right? There's people on YouTube, on Instagram that all they do is travel locally and they want to have like a goal of like exploring all the parks in their city, right? Or all the neighborhoods. There's so much history. There's so much there to do in your local area that the world is there for you to see it too, from around the corner to the other side of the world.
Yeah, definitely. This is so inspiring. You all are amazing, and your message is so important for people to hear. Is there anything you want to add that we didn't cover?
Well, definitely, I would say that with the travel hacking, one thing that, you know, just as you get and learn the tips and tricks that there is to it, don't overcomplicate yourself, because I know that, you know, you're trying to learn all the programs at once and you're trying to figure out, you know, what's the most optimal routes. If you don't have all the time for that, you know, take it a piece at a time. You know, ease yourself into the game, right? Again, so much of it is focusing on your finances first, right? Organize your budget, right? Or like take a look at and analyze the spend that you do, right? And then from there, see what credit cards or what other financial tools could be of use for you to gain those points and miles. The non-credit card ways to earn the points, right? Sign up for the loyalty programs. You still earn points and miles that way. The shopping portals, the surveys, what else? The dining portals. I'm sorry, that was the other thing that we forgot to mention. All those other ways to maximize your spend, right? So then that way, it's not just a cash transaction and done. It's here, I'm going to swipe this credit card because I know it's going to get me this much and this much back. And then at the end and I'm building towards this, right? Whatever that trip looks like for you, that's what I want folks to understand. Get in that mentality, plan your trips out. Like you said, be intentional, right? Because if you're going to take all that time planning, pues sería como medio loco not to take the trip afterwards, right? It's like you put all that effort to it, that way you get to take it.
Yeah, and I think for me, I mean, closer tied to finances, as somebody who had debt and became debt-free, all except student loans, is that it is perfectly okay to travel while you have debt. I think that you can do both. The idea of no, siéntate en la casa until you pay everything off, and you can't.
Dave Ramsey.
Right? Exactly. You can't do that because I think that largely that's also what keeps us out of spaces where we rightfully belong to. So do that, and you are able to continue to invest at the same time while you're traveling. That's just what travel hacking has really, I think for me, allowed us to meet financial goals we never thought we would. I hit $100,000 in retirement this year after being $26,000 in debt. Thank you. And I was just completely shocked that we were able to do all that at the same time. So it's very possible.
Yeah.
And of course, we're always here as a resource to la comunidad.
Yeah. Where can people follow you all and engage?
Yeah, so you could follow us on Instagram, Latinos with Passports. I believe we just created our Facebook page as well. We've just been needing to slowly expand on our social media. But yeah, you can follow us there. You can send us a message if you have any questions about hey, how can I do this or that? Happy to answer them and help you out there. We also have referral links to the credit cards that we have in pocket. We're happy to explain to you how we use them as well, because as you'll see in the travel hacking financial community, everyone has their different credit cards. Everyone has their different strategies. I don't want you to feel like, oh, I have to go to this one way or the other. No, learn from everybody. And then, like we said, tie it to your budgets, analyze your spend, and then go with the best credit card that fits you, even if it's not the ones I have in my referral links, right? That's always the important message.
That's great advice. And you can add on different ones later too. Like you said, you could just get started, and as you learn more, you can take it to the next level, get more sophisticated.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much for your time and, generously sharing all these insights from your experiences. We're really grateful and hope to stay in touch.
Claro, definitely. And again, keep following us on Instagram. And then we're going to be going on a trip to Dubai. We're going to be going on the inaugural first flight for Emirates from Miami to Dubai. So, of course, being from Miami, I had to get on that plane. So
my God.
I have to take the plane back to Dubai.
Please send a lot of pictures. That is so cool.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Take guys. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.